Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really getting into the story of Jaffa Port.
Yeah, it's a fascinating one.
And you, our listener, gave us some amazing sources to work with, everything from fisherman stories to historical deep dives, tourism info, archaeology, even where to grab a bite to eat.
It's a great mix. So our mission today is basically to unpack all of that, right? Understand its past, what's happening now, and maybe peek into the future of this ancient place.
Exactly. And what jumps out straight away is this real tension. You've got this incredibly old port steeped in history.
Millennia of history.
Right. And then, bam, this big modern redevelopment push, mainly for tourism, for commerce.
And caught right in the middle are the fishermen, the traditional community. They seem to be facing some really big challenges because of it all.
Definitely. So with a history this long, where do we even start?
Good question. I think the best place is probably way back. We need to get a handle on just how old Jaffa Port is and why it was so important strategically. Our sources are clear it's genuinely one of the oldest ports in the world. We're talking continuous activity right back to the Canaanite period.
Wow.
And get this, it's even mentioned in the Bible, in the Book of Jonah.
Jonah, sailing from Jaffa Port to Tarshish. That's serious historical cred right there.
It really is. And its importance wasn't just local flavor. It was a key spot on ancient trade routes.
I remember reading something about the Way of the Sea.
Exactly that. It was this vital connection point, maritime and land, linking Phoenician cities up north with the Nile Delta down south, a major artery for trade, communication, everything. Though, interestingly, the historian Josephus pointed out it wasn't actually the best natural harbor. Bit rocky.
Oh, really? So its location was that good it overcame the physical limitations?
Pretty much. Its strategic position trumped the less-than-ideal geography. Shows how vital it was.
So it's been around forever, survived despite not being a perfect natural harbor. What are some of the big historical moments that shaped it?
Oh, it's seen plenty. Napoleon's forces destroyed it back in 1799. That was pretty dramatic.
Right.
But it bounced back. The Ottomans rebuilt it. Then, fast forward to the British Mandate period. After World War I.
When Britain administered Palestine.
Yeah. It became the main entry point to Palestine then. Super important for Jewish immigration during that time.
Incredible. Just thinking about the history it's witnessed.
Yeah.
And this current redevelopment. It's not the first time it's had a major makeover, is it? I saw mention of the British doing work, too.
Correct. Back in 1920, the High Commissioner, Herbert Samuel, oversaw a pretty big renovation. They built a breakwater, which was crucial for safety, added new warehouses, a customs house.
Sort of modernizing it for the time.
Exactly. That really set the stage for its 20th century operations. And of course, we can't forget its role in trade. Think Jaffa oranges, famous worldwide.
Ah, yes. The Jaffa oranges. Iconic. Okay, so that sets the scene historically. Now, let's shift focus to the people who have this incredibly long connection to the port, the fishermen. The Zainab family comes up a lot in the sources.
Their story is really something. You've got Sado, his son Muhammad, and Sado's own father, Abu Sado. That's 7th, 8th, and 9th generations of fishermen right there.
9 generations. Wow.
Their family line goes back to the Ottoman era, maybe even further. It just hammers home how deep the roots are for this community. It's not just about economics. It's cultural identity tied to this specific place.
9 generations. That's an incredible legacy. And it's clear from the sources it's more than just a job for them, isn't it? There's this deep, almost spiritual connection to the sea.
Absolutely. They talk about being out on the water as a kind of release,
Yeah.
an escape from the pressures on land. Fishing isn't just what they do, it's who they are.
And they've weathered a lot of changes already. Ottoman rule, British rule, the founding of Israel.
They've shown amazing resilience through all that.
But it feels like maybe this current wave of change is different, more existential. Though there was displacement earlier too, right, after 1948.
Yes, that's an important piece of the history. After 1948, many fishermen and port workers, often whole families, were displaced. They scattered to nearby countries, to Europe.
Thinking they'd come back soon?
Many believed it was temporary, yeah. Holding on to that hope of return, a hope that for many remains unfulfilled after all these decades. It adds another layer of, historical weight to what's happening now.
Definitely a heavy history. And these traditional fishermen, their methods are totally different from, say, recreational boats with all the gadgets.
Oh, completely. They're using knowledge passed down through generations, reading the sea, the wind, the smells, navigating by stars. It's deeply intuitive.
Not like GPS and fish finders.
Not at all. And there's actually some frustration mentioned seeing recreational boats with all the tech just cleaning out entire areas, entire rock formations of fish.
I can imagine. It paints a picture of a very different relationship with the sea. And it sounds like how society sees them has changed too.
Sadly, yes. There's this feeling that the profession isn't respected like it used to be. Instead of being seen as, vital food providers.
They feel viewed with suspicion, like they're doing something wrong.
Sometimes, yeah, like outsiders, or maybe even doing something illicit. It's a real shift from how things apparently used to be.
That's tough. And it's not just outside pressures, is it? I read something about divisions within the fishing community itself now.
That seems to be a more recent thing, unfortunately. Like in the last couple of years, that traditional unity, the looking out for each other, it's weakened a bit. Different groups, maybe competing interests, have started to emerge.
So they're facing pressure from outside and some fragmentation inside. Okay, let's get into these winds of change then, this big redevelopment project. It's described as the biggest overhaul since the British Mandate days. What's the main driver?
The big idea is basically to transform Jaffa Port into a major tourist and leisure spot, kind of like what happened with Tel Aviv Port, but tailored for Jaffa, boost the economy, bring in visitors.
And what does that actually mean on the ground? What are they building or changing?
Well, there's renovation planned for the fishermen's main storage area, Warehouse 2. They're supposed to get upgraded offices, showers, restrooms, AC, even a proper fish market.
Okay, so some improvements for them.
Yes, but alongside that, you're getting a whole load of new stuff. Restaurants, shops, cultural venues like theaters, music clubs, places for entertainment.
A real mix of old and new then. You can see why the fishermen might be feeling a bit uneasy. What are their main worries?
The big fear is that all this change will just wash away the port's traditional character, and fundamentally that it will hurt their ability to make a living.
Worried about clashes with the new businesses. Tourists maybe not liking the sights and smells of active fishing.
Exactly. Things like mending nets, the smell of fish. Stuff that's totally normal for a working port might be seen as, disruptive or unpleasant by tourists or new restaurant owners.
That feels like a real potential conflict point. And the construction itself must be disruptive right now.
Oh, absolutely. They're having to use refrigerated containers instead of their usual storage, which leaves them exposed to the weather. Plus, worries about waves damaging gear, the general chaos of construction messing up routines.
And does this feel familiar to them? I think the sources mentioned times in the past when they felt squeezed out.
Yeah, there are echoes. Like in the 1980s, they apparently stationed border police there, officially for yacht security, but it made it harder for the fishermen to just do their thing. And then management of the port shifted to the Tel Aviv-Yafo Municipality, which kind of reduced the fishermen's direct say over things. There was even talk of a land deal that started out as, say, 2/3 for the Port Authority, 1/3 for fishermen, but ended up being much less for them, like 20%.
Ah, okay. So you can see why, with that history, they might be wary about this latest big change. It makes their current anxiety much clearer.
Definitely.
Now, on top of the physical changes, they're also dealing with more rules and regulations, right? Environmental stuff.
That's another big pressure point. You've got regulations from the Nature and Parks Authority, the Environment Ministry, backed by the Fisheries Division at the Ministry of Agriculture.
Limiting what they can do.
Yeah, things like how deep they can fish with nets and total bans during certain months, like April, May, no nets under 40 meters, July, August, no nets at all.
And the official reason is conservation. Protecting fish stocks, endangered species.
That's the line, yes, protecting the fish.
But the fishermen aren't entirely convinced.
They have their suspicions. Some of them think the real reason, or at least our reason, is a gas pipeline that runs at about 30 meters depth.
A gas pipeline.
Yeah. They worry about what happens if they report a leak,
Yeah.
They feel maybe the rules are partly about keeping boats away from the pipeline, keeping things quiet.
Has the ministry responded to that claim?
The Ministry of Agriculture flatly denies it. They say there's absolutely no link. The fishing rules are purely based on the science, on conceiving fish stocks for the future.
Okay. Well, whatever the reason, these bans must hit them hard financially.
Hugely. If you can't fish for key months, how do you make a living? It's a constant battle for them to get proper compensation for that lost income.
And it sounds like a bureaucratic nightmare, too.
Yeah, one source put it quite powerfully. These guys are fishermen, experts on the sea, but now they're forced to become like lawyers just to figure out the rules and fight for compensation.
That really puts the human cost into perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. Shows the power imbalance.
Shifting gears slightly, but still on history, there was this cool discovery during the recent work, right? An old pier fender.
Yeah, fascinating. They found this wooden fender dated to the Ottoman period, made from a specific type of pine, probably from Turkey, Cyprus, or Lebanon.
Wow. What does finding something like that actually tell us?
It's a direct physical link, isn't it? Shows the materials, the construction methods they were using back in the late 1800s for the port infrastructure, tangible history.
And that Ottoman pier, it was connected to other buildings.
That's right. It was built around 1879, apparently to protect the nearby Latin hospice from flooding. And then later, the Ottoman Customs House, finished in 1887, was actually built right on top of that same pier.
So it all fits together, layer upon layer of history.
Exactly. Like peeling an onion.
But it seems not all history is being preserved. There was some controversy about demolishing a terminal from the British Mandate period.
Yes, that's a significant point. This terminal was apparently used for passenger arrivals right up until 1948, a key entry point during a really important historical period, especially for immigration.
But the municipality decided to tear it down.
They did. And preservationists were obviously quite upset, arguing it erased a valuable physical connection to that whole era, to the stories of people who arrived there.
Yeah, that raises that really tricky question, doesn't it? What do we keep, what do we let go of when we modernize?
It's never an easy balance.
So, amidst all this change and concern, is there any positive vision being put forward? What is the municipality saying they want to achieve?
Well, the official line is continued investment, but also preserving the port's character. They talk about renovating the fishermen's facilities, integrating fishing into the new mix.
So, not erasing it entirely.
That's the promise. The vision is for a revitalized port, attracting tourists, yes, boosting the economy, but doing it in a way that supposedly keeps the historical authenticity and supports the fishing activity as part of its identity. It's a balancing act they claim to be aiming for.
Trying to weave it all together.
Yeah.
And what are some examples of the new things coming in?
It's quite a mix. There's the Alameda Theater, the Habarbi music venue. There's talk of a sustainable innovation hub in Warehouse 3 focused on the blue economy, ocean-related startups.
Okay.
Plus new restaurants, of course, and plans for a boutique hotel.
So definitely diversifying what the port offers. And they also talk about connecting it back to the local Jaffa community.
That's a big part of the stated strategy, making it feel accessible and relevant, not just for tourists, but for Jaffa residents too, strengthening that local connection. They talk about balancing economic goals with public good, accessibility, sustainability. All the right principles are there on paper.
It's a complex picture, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, wrapping up this deep dive on Jaffa Port, what's the main takeaway? What's the core tension here?
I think it really boils down to that fundamental clash, doesn't it? You've got this incredibly deep history, especially embodied by the fishing community and their traditions, running right up against these really powerful forces of modernization, tourism, commercial development. The whole future of the port seems to hang on whether they can find a way to genuinely balance preserving that heritage with the undeniable demands of progress.
That frames it really well, and it makes you think, doesn't it? As Jaffa Port changes, it poses that bigger question for all historical places. How do you honor the past, honor the people whose lives are tied to it?
While still moving forward, embracing new opportunities.
It's exactly. What's our responsibility to make sure the new doesn't just steamroll the old? It's something to really mull over after listening today.
Definitely.
We've really only skimmed the surface here. We'd encourage you, the listener, to dig deeper into Jaffa's incredible history, the challenges fishing communities face worldwide, the whole complex issue of redeveloping historical areas. Maybe think about what the spirit of a place really means and how you keep that alive through change.
Great food for thought.
Thanks for joining us on Deep Dive.